524. Directed line segments are segments where the direction, B to T, T to B, is important. Where do we start? From that point, we go out to the other location, the other end of the segment, and direction matters. Order matters. Let's talk about this in a different scenario. If you looked at the previous video, the graph was on a horizontally flat surface. But now, what if our map has a little bit more variety in it? And in order to do this one correctly, we're going to need to think about some techniques that still rely on, well, what if we were only considering the horizontal distance? Jean also buried her house key. She remembers burying the key between the front porch and a rose bush. The location of the porch is point 1, 2, 1 over 2 up. And the location of the rose bush is at point R, 16, 14 over 16 and up to 14. Cool. Determine the location of Jean's key in each situation. In what ratio does the location of the key divide the directed line segment PR, and into what ratio does it divide the directed line segment into RP? So we're going to pay attention to the order of the letters, directed. Suppose Jean buried her key half of the way between the front porch and the rose bush. To do this, I'm going to show you the steps again from before, but now because of the whole idea of counting boxes, this isn't so bad. Okay, so number 1, calculate the distance in the X direction and the Y direction. So this is like saying slope, so to speak. Yeah, this would be slope, aka slope. Then step 2, use the fraction to multiply the distance. So multiply, I'll use the letter X distance and Y distance by a half. So what that will do is that'll tell us how many spaces we need to count from either endpoint to put a mark of where the key could be located. And then we're going to follow the grid, so up to the side, from X and Y at 1/2 to PR, or RP. Okay, here goes. I'm going to do it. So counting, just literally counting. Like I should use the X coordinates and the Y coordinates, and then I'll go back and confirm it. But here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Half of 15 is 7.5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go right there. That's the midpoints. I do the same thing with the Y. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. By the way, I should already know it's 12 because what's 14 take away 2? 14 take away 2, 12. And then I'm going to make a mark at half of 12. Half of 12 is 6. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Follow the grid over to the segment PR and follow up to find it. I'm going to say right here, this is the location of the key if she's burying it halfway between. And because it's halfway, there really isn't a need for direction. Half of the way from P to R is going to be the same location as half of the distance from R to P. Excuse me. Okay. So here we go. I have suppose Jean buried her key 1/4 of the way between the front porch and the rose bush. Because it says front porch and then it says rose bush, I'm assuming we're going to go from P to R. So I'll do this in the Y first because the Y is the easier number. It's a distance of 12, but then I'm going to multiply by 1/4. And if you don't know that 1/4 of 12 is 3, you can always go to your calculator and do the multiplication. Hey Siri, what's 12 times 1/4?
12 times 1 over 4 is 3.
Okay, so I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, and put a dot. And then I'm going to go over to the grid. I'm going to say right there. I could do the same thing from R. I mean, I'm assuming it's porch to the rose bush and not the other way around. But if I go rose bush and count down 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. I could also suggest that right there is going to be the location. We should still confirm this with X, but that's the nice thing about these sorts of problems. You only need one coordinate. You only need to figure out that the Y coordinate divided really nicely in half and divided really nicely into fourths. So therefore the Y coordinate is going to point at the location. But if you have to, you can go find the X coordinate as well. What is 1/4 of 15? Hey Siri, what's 1/4 of 15?
1 over 4 times 1 is 0.
They did it wrong, but it's going to be about like right there and about right there. Okay, so then the last one. We are going to have, suppose Jean buried her key 1/3 of the way between the front porch and the rose bush. 1/3 of 12. This is the easy one. 1/3 of 12 is 4. I'm not going to bother with the 1/3 of, oh, I could do 1/3 of 15. 1/3. That's the bell for me. The end of the period is over for the rest of us. But in this video, there's just a little bit more for me to show you, than this page 524 is over. So sorry about the buzzer. Let's go. I'm going to count over 5 spaces in the X direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be the location that divides the X coordinate into 3 sections. I can count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 5 spaces between them. Yo, there is. And if I go up to the grid, that would be the 1/3 location. Or if I go up to the grid here, that would be the 1/3 location. That's all I have to share with you for page 524. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.